Great, thank you, Nicole, and thank you for having me. And a big welcome to everyone from wherever you are in the world to this session on long-termism. So before we dive into the nuts and bolts of what we're going to be doing and of the kind of more technical and bureaucratic conversations around long-termism, we always like to start with a more personal session. So for the next 10 minutes, I invite you to treat this as a meditation. So if you have space, you might want to stand up. You will need to walk forwards and backwards a couple of steps. The exercise is designed to be done standing, but feel free to do it sitting and just to shut your eyes. So you might also want to, if you have video on, turn it off. This is a moment of personal reflection before we dive into the meat of our time together. So, if you let your eyes come to a close and take a deep breath and feel the ground beneath your feet and be present in this moment on the 7th of October and truly arrive. So I invite you to bring to mind someone you feel warmly towards who is of an older generation. It might be a grandparent, a great aunt or uncle, or an older person of that generation who you have cared about. They may not be with us anymore, or they may still be here. So think of one of their qualities that evokes warmth in you. It could be their smile, it could be their hands, it could be something that they were really passionate about. Bring that quality into your mind's eye. And now if you're standing, I invite you to take a step backwards. And with that step backwards, you are stepping back in time and you are imagining that person around the age of 40. Connect back to that quality that evoked warmth in them. How was that present in them then? Just take a brief moment to connect with them in the past. Now take another step back in time, and this time you are at that person's 9th birthday party. Again, take a moment to bring to mind that quality that evokes warmth in you. And how was that present in them when they were 9? What do they look like? What might their favorite food have been? Imagine their 9th birthday party. Where is it? Who else is there? I mean, we might be talking 80, 90, 100 years ago. Imagine for a moment that you turn your back on the party and walk over to a window. What is happening outside the window? What is the world like back then? How are people getting around? How are they communicating with each other? What's happening back then? Having connected with the world, you now turn back into the room where the 9th birthday party is still happening. Take a moment to drink this in, the person you care about at 9 years old. And then take your leave, because you are now going to be coming back to the present. So if you're standing, walk forward one step through the generations and another step back to the present moment. And just now, take another deep breath and arrive back on the 7th of October, 2020. Take a moment to feel the ground beneath your feet and arrive in the present. Now bring to mind a small person who you feel warmly towards. It could be a child, a grandchild, the child of a friend, just a little person that you care about. And again, think of one of their qualities that evokes warmth in you. It could be their smile, something that makes them laugh, a funny thing that they do. Connect with that quality. And now if you're standing, take a step forwards and imagine that little person at 40. Again, connect with that quality that evokes warmth for you. How is it present in them then? Take a moment to connect with them in the future. And now step forward another step. It's now the 90th birthday of this person. They're sitting around a table, being celebrated by their friends and family. They're laughing. How is that quality that evokes warmth for you present in them at 90? Do the same things make them laugh? What do they look like? What food do they love? How is it for them looking back over their life? Now, again, turn your back on the party for a moment and step over to a window. Now, we're probably towards the end of the century, so it might be 2090, 2095, or it might be early into the next century. You've walked over to the window, and what can you see out there? What's the world like then? What's the world like in 2090? How are people communicating? How are they getting around? Take a moment to absorb the world of the future. And now there's a noise that brings your attention back into the room. And you see that on the table, there is a framed picture of you. And the person who you care about is tapping their glasses and asking for everyone's attention. And they raise their glass and they toast you. And they're thanking you for something that you've done that has helped shape their world for the better. What are they toasting you for? Take a moment and stay in that celebration of your legacy. And now, once again, drink in the scene and take your leave. And if you're standing, step backwards, one step through the generations, and another step to the present. Take a moment with your eyes still shut to land back here on the 7th of October, 2020. Take a deep breath and slowly open your eyes, letting them adjust to the light. And arrive back into the present moment and back to this session that we are sharing together. So you've just time traveled about 200 years and crossed 7 generations. And in our session together today, we're going to be exploring long-termism and what that means for the work of people who work in policy making, in change, in systems. But right now, just stay connected to how it felt on a personal level, to start to stretch your time horizons through the lives of the people that you love. And we'll now move away from the more personal aspect and to a more technical discussion of long-termism. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we'll be looking at some slides. So let me just make that happen. So welcome to the long time, everyone. I am Ella Saltmarsh. I am a co-founder of the Long Time Project. And the reason that we have set up an organization dedicated to long-termism is because we believe that long-termism is going to be vital for our future as a species. And we believe that our capacity to care about that long-term future is crucial in our ability to protect it. And the work that we do is all about how cultivating longer time perspectives can lead to transformational change in the short term. So I'm going to start off by talking about why. Like, why is long-termism so important? And one of the places that we start with is the development of existential risk. So over the last 100 years, we as humans have been developing the means to destroy ourselves as a species. So up to that point, whilst historically we have been cruel, violent, stupid en masse, that has never actually threatened our existence as a species. And that started to change mid-last century with the development of nuclear weapons, then with climate change, biodiversity loss, biological warfare, arguably AI, and suddenly we are faced with a situation where we have a growing number of means by which we may destroy ourselves as a species. And I think whilst lots of those might have seemed quite abstract a few years ago, COVID has made those existential threats feel very present for an increasing number of people today. And when we look at what's at the root of a lot of these existential threats, it is the short-termism inherent in the reason that they exist. So what's happened is that we've developed our scientific and technological abilities at such a speed that our culture and policy frameworks haven't had time to catch up to contain the epic risks that they present. And so now we're faced with a situation where we have to start developing the